episode of Doctor Who has been regarded as one of the best in years, but was it so good that you missed this little Easter egg? When the Doctor and Belinda arrive in 1952 Miami, they see a cinema showing a Rock Hudson film, The Harvest Bringer, which is not a real film by the way, but Rock Hudson was a real actor, so why not use a real Rock Hudson film? Well, when Lux reveals himself to be the god of light, some of the letters fall off this sign so that Harvest Bringer becomes Harbinger. If you're a fan of the show, you probably know Harbingers were entities whose purpose was to announce the arrival of the gods from the discord of Pantheon. And the gods often enjoyed wordplay or anagrams to hint at their presence. The Harbingers disguise themselves as humans, with the first name starting with the letter H and then the surname being Arbinger. Not only is this a cool way to integrate the lore, it's also a really cool way of highlighting an important part of queer history. As you might remember, Belinda said that she studied Rock Hudson as part of her HIV training course, because Rock Hudson is probably one of the most public figures to die from HIV. Hudson is probably one of the most famous film stars of all time, and his career spans not only 3 decades but the golden era of Hollywood. Even though he was a very public figure and a very big figure in Hollywood, his homosexuality was kept private as his career began to progress, and he was threatened to be outed in 1955. Long after this threat, he married his agent's secretary to help dispel the rumours. Even though it was very well known in Hollywood that Rock was gay, and later on you'd even have huge names like Julie Andrews and Elizabeth Taylor herself claim that they knew this and they kept it private to protect him. And it was even Elizabeth Taylor who immortalised Rock's legacy after he died by purchasing his Hollywood star. Passed away in his sleep just 4 months after being diagnosed with HIV at the age of just 59. At his own request, there was no funeral and his body was cremated just a few hours after his death. Now, relating it back to Doctor Who, when Belinda says that she studied Rock in her HIV training course, this was because Rock's death caused a shockwave of conversation about homosexuality, but also about HIV and AIDS. As it was around this time that President Ronald Reagan was still refusing to acknowledge HIV and AIDS, despite the fact that him and his wife Nancy were friends with Rock up until his diagnosis. And President Ronald Reagan would continue to ignore HIV and AIDS for another 2 months. While you had thousands and thousands of people who were dying quickly, alone, and in unimaginable pain under his presidency and around the world. It was such a small scene that if you was making a cup of tea, you might not have even noticed it. The history of HIV and AIDS is really, really important, and it's unfathomable to think about how much we've progressed in such a short span of time. It's all because of the conversation around safe sex, the normalisation of testing, and even access to healthcare like PrEP, and even possibly in the future a vaccine. I absolutely love it when Doctor Who integrates our real history into the world like this. It just makes the world of Doctor Who feel so much more lived in. If you are a Doctor Who fan and you want to learn more about the AIDS epidemic, Russell T Davies also wrote It's a Sin, which is a Channel 4 show which looks at the AIDS epidemic, but particularly in the UK. It is absolutely incredible and I could not recommend it enough.